A 14-year-old girl sits at her kitchen counter. Her mother's body is in the next room. 3 gunshots to the head. Blood everywhere. And what does she do? She picks up her mom's phone, unlocks it like she's done 1,000 times before, and sends a text message. "When will you be home, honey?" She's pretending to be her mother, luring her stepfather back to the house, because she's got 3 more bullets waiting for him. This honor student, this polite girl everyone trusted, just killed her own mom, and the security cameras caught every single second. What you're about to hear is how a normal Tuesday afternoon in Mississippi turned into a crime so calculated, so disturbing, that even the jury couldn't believe a child planned it. But the evidence doesn't lie. And what Carly Gregg did in those 10 minutes after pulling the trigger would prove she knew exactly what she was doing. Before we can understand what happened on March 19, 2024, we need to understand who Carly Gregg was. At 14, Carly seemed like every other successful teenager. She was bright, confident, funny. A 10th grader at Northwest Rankin High School in Brandon, Mississippi, where her mother taught math. Teachers described Carly as polite and smart. Her friends said she was kind, easy to talk to. On the surface, she looked like a happy girl with her whole life ahead of her. Carly's mother, Ashley Smiley, was 40 years old. A math teacher loved by her students, respected by everyone who knew her. Friends described Ashley as warm and patient, someone who cared deeply about her classroom and her family. Ashley had been married before to Kevin Gregg, Carly's biological father. Kevin struggled for years with mental health problems and drug use. After their divorce, Ashley raised Carly mostly by herself. In 2020, Ashley married Heath Smiley. Heath was known for being calm and gentle. At first, Heath and Carly got along really well. He supported her, tried to understand her, wanted her to feel safe. But by early 2024, something changed. Carly seemed distant, quiet, withdrawn, and nobody could figure out why. From the outside, their life looked normal, stable, loving. But underneath, something wasn't right. Ashley and Heath could feel it, but didn't fully understand what was happening. As the months went by, small cracks started showing. Carly had trouble sleeping. Some days she was happy and talkative. Other days she barely spoke. She seemed anxious. Her parents thought maybe it was just normal teenage stuff, but it kept getting worse. Heath later told the court that he found out Carly had been cutting herself. The cuts were hidden under her clothes on her thighs where nobody could see them. They were shallow, but they were there on purpose. Carly was using pain to deal with emotions she couldn't put into words. Then more troubling signs started appearing. Her parents discovered Carly had been using secret burner phones. She was vaping marijuana, talking to an older boyfriend they didn't know about. She was living 2 completely different lives, one as the cheerful honor student everyone saw, another as a troubled teen hiding her pain. When her parents confronted her, Carly got defensive, angry. She didn't want to talk about what was going on, but deep down, something much bigger was happening. Carly's therapist later explained that she often felt responsible for her mother's happiness. She wanted to be perfect for Ashley. The idea of disappointing her mom felt unbearable. By December 2023, Ashley and Heath knew they needed professional help. They found Carly a therapist. By January 2024, Carly was prescribed Zoloft. It's a medication commonly used to treat depression and anxiety in teenagers. For a little while, things seemed calmer. But inside Carly's head, everything was falling apart in ways nobody could see. She began hearing voices that weren't real. She felt like the world around her wasn't real either. She had scary thoughts she couldn't control. She wrote about it in her journal but kept those pages secret. On March 12, 2024, exactly 1 week before the tragedy, Carly wrote something chilling. "I think I had a psychotic break earlier. The whole ordeal is quite silly. I actually spoke with one of the voices in my head. My particular friend and I were practically screaming bloodthirstily and ravenously. Thank God physical confrontation was not possible. I sound crazy." That journal entry would later become crucial evidence in court. Some people thought it proved Carly was truly suffering with mental illness. But others believed she wrote it on purpose, to create an excuse for what she was already planning to do. The next day, Carly went back to her nurse practitioner for a medication checkup. She said the Zoloft made her feel numb and disconnected. So her prescription was switched to Lexapro, another antidepressant. That change happened just 6 days before the shooting. Nobody realized it at the time, but something inside Carly was spiraling beyond anyone's control. March 19, 2024, started as an ordinary Tuesday in Brandon, Mississippi. Ashley Smiley went to work at Northwest Rankin High School, where she taught. Her 14-year-old daughter, Carly, was a student there too. Heath Smiley left for work shortly after. Around mid-morning, something happened that would set everything in motion. A friend of Carly's, worried about her behavior, approached Ashley at school. He told her that Carly had been vaping marijuana regularly, that she had burner phones, that she'd been talking to boys Ashley didn't know about. People who saw Ashley afterward said she wasn't furious. She was worried, concerned for her daughter more than angry about the rule breaking. The school day ended. Ashley and Carly drove home together. This is where the security cameras pick up the story. At around 3:54 in the afternoon, Ashley's car pulled into the garage. She and Carly got out. They walked into the house together, brought the family's 2 dogs inside. Nothing in the footage suggested an argument or tension. Everything looked normal. The layout of their home is important to understand what happened next. The garage connects to a small laundry room which opens into the kitchen. To the right of the kitchen is Carly's bedroom. To the left, further down a hallway, is the master bedroom where Ashley and Heath sleep. Security cameras covered several areas of the house: the garage, the kitchen, the laundry room. They recorded continuously, uploading footage to the cloud in real time. Ashley heads to Carly's bedroom. This makes sense given what she learned at school that day. She was going to search for the vape pens and marijuana to get them out of Carly's possession. Carly takes the dogs outside to the backyard. For a few minutes, everything is quiet. Ashley is in Carly's room searching. Carly is outside with the dogs. Then Carly comes back inside. The footage shows Carly walking slowly through the kitchen. She's not rushed or panicked. She moves with purpose. She glances toward her bedroom where she knows her mother is searching through her things. Then she turns and walks in the opposite direction, toward the master bedroom. At approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Carly entered her parents' bedroom. She retrieved her mother's .357 Magnum handgun from under the mattress. She hid the weapon behind her back as she moved through the house. Less than a minute later, Carly comes back across the house. She's walking carefully now, holding her right arm behind her back in an awkward position. As she passes the entrance to the kitchen, she stops. She looks inside, checking to make sure Ashley hasn't left the bedroom. Then Carly walks into her bedroom. 3 shots echoed through the home. Ashley was struck multiple times in the head and upper body. Though she was alive for a brief moment after the shots, the wounds were fatal within minutes. The medical examiner would later testify about the path and impact of those 3 bullets. The first shot hit Ashley in the shoulder. The second hit her in the neck. Either of those wounds could have been fatal. But the third shot sealed Ashley's fate. It was fired from less than 3 feet away, directly into her face, just above her right eye. And then, in the moments after taking her mother's life, Carly Gregg did something that would become the most controversial and analyzed part of the entire case. She walked calmly back to the kitchen and sat down. The timestamp on the security footage is crucial here. Ashley was shot sometime between 4:43 and 4:47 in the afternoon. Based on audio analysis, Carly didn't contact 911 until 4:57. That means there were roughly 10 to 13 minutes where Carly was alone in the house with her mother's body. During those minutes, She didn't try to help her mother. She didn't call for help. Instead, what she did next would become the prosecution's strongest argument that this wasn't a psychotic break or temporary insanity. It was calculated, deliberate, followed by attempts to cover it up and continue the violence. The kitchen camera shows Carly sitting at the counter. She's still holding the gun behind her back, out of view of the camera. She picks up her mother's iPhone from where Ashley had left it on the counter. Carly knows her mother's passcode. She unlocks the phone and opens the messaging app. She texts Heath Smiley. "When will you be home, honey?" The word choice was deliberate. Honey is what Ashley calls Heath. Carly was pretending to be her mother, trying to make Heath think everything was normal at home, trying to convince him to come back. Heath responded that he would be leaving work soon, probably home in about an hour. Carly sent back a thumbs-up emoji. Then she started calling her friends. She FaceTimed multiple people in the minutes after killing her mother. She told them she'd really messed up, that she'd done something terrible. She was crying, upset, but not completely falling apart. When one friend asked if they should call 911, Carly said no. "Don't do that. Don't call anyone." Instead, she invited a specific friend to come over. When that friend arrived, she had no idea what she was walking into. Carly opened the door and asked a question that would haunt everyone who heard it. "Do dead bodies make you squeamish?" Carly took her friend inside and showed her Ashley's body lying on the floor of Carly's bedroom. The friend testified that she was terrified. Frozen, not knowing what to do or how to process what she was seeing. But Carly wasn't done explaining. She told her friend something chilling. "I put 3 in my mom. I've got 3 more for my stepdad. He's on his way home now." Then Carly told her friend to go hide in the backyard. When Heath got home, Carly was going to finish what she'd started. Before he arrived, Carly did something investigators would later describe as deeply disturbing. She repositioned her mother's body, folding Ashley's hands across her stomach like someone laying in a coffin. She then draped a red towel over her mother's face, covering the gunshot wound. And as the minutes passed, the kitchen camera picked up something else. Carly quietly humming and singing to herself while her mother's body lay in the next room. Heath Smiley left work around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He'd gotten the text from what he thought was his wife asking when he'd be home. Everything seemed normal. He had no reason to suspect anything was wrong. When Heath arrived home, he got out of his car and walked toward the door that led into the laundry room and kitchen. When Heath opened the door, Carly was already waiting for him, gun in her hand. As soon as he stepped inside, she fired several times. One of the bullets hit Heath in the shoulder, very close to his face. Even though he was in pain, Heath reacted without thinking. He was much bigger and stronger than Carly. He rushed toward her and tried to grab the gun to stop her. During the struggle, more shots went off. Later, Heath said he wasn't sure who fired those last bullets. All he could think about was getting the gun away from Carly. The whole time, Carly was screaming, not saying any words, just screaming. Heath later said the sound was wild and terrifying, completely unlike anything he had ever heard from her before. He eventually wrenched the gun from her hands. The moment he did, Carly ran out the back door and down the street, her friend chasing after her. Heath, still in shock and bleeding, started looking around the house for an intruder. At first, he couldn't believe what had happened. He thought someone else must have attacked Carly, that she had only been trying to protect herself. Then he entered Carly's bedroom. That's where he found Ashley. He immediately reached for his phone to call 911, still bleeding, his voice shaking.
Your daughter tried to shoot you? Yeah. What did she ask? How old is she? 14. 14? Okay, ma'am, stay on the phone. Ma'am, stay on the phone with me. Just calm down. What's your name? Heath Smiley? Yes, sir. Did she hit you? Yeah, I got hit in the neck a little bit. Okay, so did graze your neck? Yes, sir. Alright. Hey, what's her name? Carly Gregg. Carly Gregg? Does she still have a gun on her? I took it from her. She ran. You took it from her and she ran? Yes, sir. She was screaming something at me I couldn't understand. I locked the door. She's outside. I don't know what's going on. Which way did she run off to? She ran into the backyard and went over a fence. Ran into the backyard and went over your fence? Yeah. What is she wearing? T-shirt, gray shirt and some jeans. Gray shirt and jeans? About how tall is she? 5'2". About 5'2"? What color hair? Brownish. Brownish and short hair. 5'2" with that door, she opened fire on me. And was just screaming. Okay, just calm down for me. We got everybody headed. What? She killed her mom. She killed her mom? Yeah, that's what I'm screaming about. Where's the mom? Where's the mom at? Sir. Where's your wife? She's dead on the floor of my stepdaughter's room. She's on the floor in your stepdaughter's room? She's my stepdaughter and her mom. I don't know what's going on. The stepdaughter's been her for a little while trying to work out some problems.
The 911 call is heartbreaking to listen to. Heath is trying to explain what happened, but he can barely get the words out. He tells the operator his daughter tried to shoot him, that she shot at him to kill him, that his wife is dead on the floor. You can hear the pain and confusion in every word. He's trying to understand how this could be real, how the girl he helped raise could have done this. The operator stays on the line with him, trying to keep him calm, asking questions about where Carly went, what she was wearing. Heath describes her running into the backyard, jumping the fence. He says she was screaming at him, but he couldn't understand what she was saying. Paramedics and police arrived within minutes. The quiet street on Ashton Way in Brandon, Mississippi, was flooded with emergency vehicles. While first responders treated Heath and secured the house.
Hey, where's your son wearing? Hey, can you tell me what your son's wearing? Hey, I need you to talk to me. What is your son wearing?
He was in jeans and a grayish t-shirt. She's got short brownish hair.
So, jeans, a gray t-shirt, short brown hair.
She ran into the backyard. I tried to follow her. She jumped the fence and ran. She shot me in the neck. It's okay, I think.
Does she still have the gun?
It's on the kitchen counter. I think there's one light round left in it. I opened the cylinder. I went in the back door and she tried to shoot me.
What's her name, bud?
Carly Gregg.
Carly Gregg? How old is she?
14. She'll be 15 next month.
Okay.
Other officers began searching the neighborhood for Carly. She had run on foot, jumping fences, cutting through backyards. Nobody knew where she'd gone. A deputy patrolling Farmington Boulevard, just a few streets away from the Smiley home, noticed a young girl standing near a drainage ditch. She looked small for her age, disoriented, frightened. It was Carly. The deputy stopped his vehicle and approached her carefully. She admitted being involved in what happened. Carly was handcuffed and placed in the back of the patrol car. While sitting in the police car, Carly kept asking if Heath was okay, if he would survive his injuries. The car later stopped so officers could do a gunshot residue test on her hands. They needed to know which hand she'd used to fire the gun. You can hear Carly in the recording asking if Heath is all right. Her voice sounds small, young, scared. Back at the house, investigators found a shocking scene. Evidence everywhere. Security footage from several cameras, text messages, phone records, physical evidence left behind. When they put it all together, it clearly showed what had happened that day. But what the investigators couldn't figure out, and what the trial would later focus on, wasn't what happened. Everyone knew what Carly had done. The real question was why. And more importantly, whether she was legally responsible for her actions. Carly Madison Gregg was initially taken to a juvenile detention facility, but that didn't last long. Given how serious the charges were and the nature of the crime, prosecutors made the decision to charge her as an adult. She faced 3 charges: first-degree murder for the killing of Ashley Smiley, attempted murder for the shooting of Heath Smiley, and tampering with evidence for trying to hide what she'd done. Under Mississippi law, first-degree murder carries only 2 possible sentences: life in prison with the possibility of parole, or life without parole. Because Carly was a juvenile, the death penalty wasn't an option. The Supreme Court had ruled years earlier that executing someone for a crime committed as a minor was unconstitutional. Being charged as an adult meant Carly would be held in an adult facility, but because she was still a minor, she had to be kept separate from adult inmates. In practice, this meant solitary confinement. For the next 6 months, from March 2024 until her trial in September, Carly Gregg spent 23 to 24 hours a day alone in a cell. She had no contact with other inmates, limited contact with guards. Her only regular visitors were her attorneys. The isolation was extremely hard, especially for a 14-year-old who was already struggling with mental health challenges. Her defense team argued that being kept in those conditions was making her worse, increasing her symptoms, violating her rights as a minor. But the judge ruled that there was no alternative. Mississippi law required that juvenile offenders charged as adults be kept separate from adult populations. If that meant solitary confinement, so be it. Meanwhile, both sides were preparing for trial, and they were building completely opposite stories of who Carly Gregg was and what happened on March 19th. The prosecution's story was simple. Carly Gregg was a teenager living a double life, using drugs, talking to boys, hiding burner phones from her parents. When her mother found out and started searching her room, Carly made a cold, planned decision to end her mother's life. The calmness seen on the security footage showed she knew she had done something wrong. The text messages to Heath showed planning and lies. The way she positioned the body showed a disturbing lack of remorse. And the attempt to shoot Heath showed this wasn't just a moment of losing control. It was a careful plan to hurt both her parents. Yes, Carly had some mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, normal teenage problems, but nothing that meant she was legally insane. She knew the difference between right and wrong. She knew that hurting someone was wrong, and the fact that she tried to hide what she did showed she understood it was against the law. The defense's story was completely different. Carly Gregg was a deeply mentally ill child who'd been suffering for years with conditions nobody fully understood. She had a genetic risk for serious psychiatric illness, inherited from her biological father who had schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. She'd been hearing voices since she was young, possibly as early as age 9. She'd been experiencing scary thoughts that terrified her. She'd been cutting herself for years as a way to cope with overwhelming emotions. Then, just 6 days before the murder, her medication was changed from Zoloft to Lexapro. For someone with underlying bipolar disorder, this kind of medication switch can trigger manic episodes or worsen psychotic symptoms. By March 19th, Carly was in the middle of a full psychotic break. Under Mississippi law, to be found not guilty by reason of insanity, the defense had to prove that at the time of the crime, Carly didn't understand what she was doing, or she didn't know that what she was doing was wrong. It's an incredibly high bar to meet. Insanity defenses succeed in less than 1% of criminal cases. But Carly's defense team believed they had the evidence to meet it, and if they succeeded, Carly wouldn't go to prison. She'd be sent to a mental health facility for treatment. Eventually, if she got better and was no longer considered dangerous, she could potentially be released. But first, they'd have to convince a jury. Before that decision was made, the prosecution made an offer. In August 2024, a few weeks before trial was set to begin, the district attorney's office came to Carly's defense team with a deal. She could plead guilty to all 3 charges, and in return, the state would recommend a 40-year sentence in the Mississippi Department of Corrections. 40 years. For a 14-year-old, that meant she wouldn't be released until she was 54. She would spend all her teenage years and most of her adult life in prison. But when it came time to decide, Carly did something nobody expected. She rejected the deal. At just 14 years old, Carly Madison Gregg decided to take her chances with the jury instead of accepting a 40-year sentence. Her attorneys supported her choice. They believed they had a strong mental health defense, that once the jury learned about Carly's history and heard from their experts, they would see this as a case of a troubled young girl who needed help, not someone acting out of cruelty. The trial began. Carly sat at the defense table next to her attorneys. She looked even younger than 14. Throughout the trial, she would be seen crying frequently, covering her ears during difficult testimony, appearing to be genuinely upset by what was being shown and said. Heath Smiley took the stand. He had to describe the worst moment of that day, finding Ashley's body in Carly's bedroom. When asked what he did when he saw her lying there, Heath's voice broke. He said he checked her pulse, moved the towel slightly, then called 911. When asked what he saw when he moved the towel, Heath paused. He said he knew she had been shot. There was blood around her face, somewhere on the right side. The courtroom was silent except for the sound of Carly crying at the defense table. As testimony continued, the focus shifted from what Carly had done to why she had done it. The heart of the trial became the question of her state of mind on the day of the killing. Both sides brought in mental health experts, each painting a completely different picture of Carly Gregg. The prosecution called 4 specialists who had examined her after her arrest. They agreed she was a troubled teenager battling anxiety, depression, and self-harm, but not legally insane. Their testimony emphasized intent and awareness. They argued that Carly's actions on March 19, 2024 were deliberate. She knew exactly what she was doing, and she knew it was wrong. The prosecution emphasized Carly's deliberate actions, unlocking her mother's phone, mimicking her tone in a message, luring her stepfather home. To them, these were signs of planning, not confusion. Even her therapist, who had treated her before the murder, said she had never shown signs of psychosis, delusion, or violence. Their medical experts talked about her recent switch from Zoloft to Lexapro, They admitted there could be side effects, but they insisted the dosage was standard and the change was medically appropriate. There was no evidence, they said, that it could have caused a psychotic break. Remember that journal entry from March 12th? The prosecution argued Carly wrote it on purpose, to create a paper trail, an excuse she could use later if she got caught. By the end of the trial, the courtroom stood split between two opposing views. The defense portrayed Carly as a deeply troubled child whose fragile mind had broken under the weight of mental illness and medication side effects. The prosecution described her as a calculating teenager who knew exactly what she was doing and carried it out with precision. Which version the jury chose to believe would decide the rest of Carly Madison Gregg's life. When it was the defense's turn to make closing arguments, attorney Bridget Todd spoke with emotion. She told the jury that Carly was not a cold-blooded killer. She was a deeply troubled child. Todd explained her history of anxiety, depression, and hearing voices. She argued that a change in medication might have triggered a mental breakdown. She said this tragedy destroyed 3 lives, Ashley's, Heath's, and Carly's. That what looked like planning was actually confusion. In closing, Todd asked the jury to see Carly not as a monster, but as a sick 14-year-old who needed help, not a lifetime behind bars. The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours, a clear sign that they had reached a firm decision. When they returned to the courtroom, the verdicts were read aloud. Count 1, first-degree murder, guilty. Count 2, attempted murder, guilty. Count 3, tampering with evidence, guilty. The insanity defense had been fully rejected. The jury agreed with the prosecution that Carly knew exactly what she was doing. Next came the sentencing phase. Under Mississippi law, the jury had 3 options: life with the possibility of parole, life without parole, or leaving the decision to the judge. The jury sentenced Carly Madison Gregg to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. For the attempted murder charge, she received another life sentence to run at the same time. At just 15 years old, Carly Madison Gregg was sentenced to spend the rest of her life in prison. The reaction was mixed. Ashley Smiley's family felt justice had been served. Others were heartbroken that a child would spend her entire life behind bars. Carly wept quietly as deputies led her away, back to the detention center where she would remain until transferred to an adult facility. The case of Carly Gregg ended with no sense of victory, only the lasting weight of a tragedy that destroyed an entire family. Carly's father, Kevin Gregg, spoke to the media afterward. He believed her illness was inherited, that the system failed her long before the tragedy happened. Carly's defense team pushed for a new trial. They claimed key mental health evidence had been left out, specifically Kevin's account of Carly's childhood hallucinations. But Judge Dewey Arthur denied the request. He ruled that even if that evidence had been admitted, it would not have changed the verdict. The defense has since appealed to the Mississippi Court of Appeals, though such reversals are extremely rare. For now, Carly remains in a youth correctional facility in Pearl. When she turns 18, she will be moved to the Central Mississippi Correctional Facility, where she will spend the rest of her life. Her attorney, Bridget Todd, insists the system failed Carly. She argues that a mentally ill child should never have been tried as an adult. The prosecution maintains that justice was done, that Carly planned her actions and understood what she was doing. Carly's appeal could take years, and even if it's granted, it would mean another trial, not freedom. For now, she remains behind bars. Just 15 years old, facing a lifetime shaped by what happened when she was 14. The debate continues. Was Carly Gregg a cold-blooded killer who deserved life in prison? Or was she a deeply sick child failed by a system that didn't recognize her illness until it was too late? The security cameras captured what she did, but they couldn't capture why. And that question, the one that matters most, may never have a clear answer.